Welcome back to the Living Higher series. I wanted to continue what we were talking about last week about our perception that we have of the Yetzer Hora at times. And therefore this week's topic is called the Yetzer Hora and the Sorites paradox. There's a fascinating Gemara in Masechta Sukkah, Daf Nun Beis and Aleph. The Gemara talks about how La'asid Love, when Mashiach comes, the Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to bring the Yetzer Hora, bring the Satan before the Tzaddikim and before the Rishayim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to shecht the Satan, and that's going to be the end of the Satan. And the Gemara in Sukkah says that to the Tzaddikim, the Yetzer Hora is going to appear as this big mountain. And to the Rishayim, the Yetzer Hora is going to appear as this little the size of a hair's breadth, this little nothing the size of a hair's breadth. And both the Tzaddikim and the Rishayim are going to start crying. The Tzaddikim are going to cry, they're going to say, wow, look how big this mountain is, look how big this Yetzer Hora is, look how insurmountable it is. How did we manage to overcome the Yetzer Hora? And the Rishayim are going to cry, they're going to say, look, the Yetzer Hora is a little hair's breadth. How is it possible that we failed so badly? How is it possible that we messed up so badly? I was thinking, based on the Sorites paradox, that maybe you could propose another way of understanding this Gemara. It's not the simple pshat, it's b'derech drush, it's expounding on the Gemara a little bit. However, the idea, I think, is a true idea. And that is, what is the Sorites paradox? The Sorites paradox is that if you have a mound of sand, no one grain of sand is the sand that turns the mound into a mound. For example, if you have a mound of sand and you remove one grain of sand, it's not going to do anything. It's still a mound of sand. You remove a second grain of sand, a third grain of sand, a fourth grain of sand. It still hasn't done anything. It's still a mound of sand. Yet at some point, though we don't know when, the mound of sand has to go from being a mound of sand to no longer being a mound of sand. Or that very last grain of sand still has to be a mound of sand. And it works the opposite way as well. If you put down one grain of sand, you don't have a mound. You put down a second grain, you put down a third grain, you don't have a mound. But at some point or another, you do have a mound of sand. And I think that this is one of the biggest tricks the Yetzer Hora has, how he gets us to do things that we otherwise wouldn't do. The Yetzer Hora doesn't tell you, you know what, maybe stop keeping Shabbos, maybe stop keeping kosher, maybe stop being from. He gets you on that one grain of sand. You don't have to do that. You could still be from even if you don't do that one little thing. Or okay, so you'll do that one thing, you'll go to this one place, look at this thing, do this one thing on Shabbos, whatever it is. Big deal, it's nothing. But then one grain of sand, which grain of sand is it before there's no more mound of sand? Which action is it that puts us over the top? That's how the Yetzer Hora gets us. He gets us by doing that one little action, either to do something or not to do something, which in it by itself seems so insignificant. I think maybe we can understand the Gemara in Sukkah that what happens to the tzaddikim who didn't listen to the Yetzer Hora, the tzaddikim that didn't remove that one grain of sand, that didn't do that one little thing, the Yetzer Hora appears like this big giant mountain, because that's what the Yetzer Hora is. They never took that grain of sand off. They never took that small thing, saying that, it'll still be a mound of sand, even if I remove this one grain of sand. I'll still be from, even if I don't do this one thing. The tzaddikim didn't do it because they realized the slippery slope, and how before you know it, there's no more mountain left anymore. To them, the Yetzer Hora still appears like the mountain that he is. The Rishayim, all they see is what's left of the Yetzer Hora, that little hair's breadth. All the grains of sand, all the little actions that they thought this whole time were not doing anything. But in the aggregate, they look back and they go, wow, where'd the mountain go? There's nothing left. This little action that I did, that I thought wasn't doing anything, this little action that I didn't do because I thought, hey, it's so insignificant, what am I accomplishing by it? I look back and I go, wow, there's no more mound left anymore. There's no more mountain left anymore. And that's why to the Rishayim, the Yetzer Hora appears like such a small, insignificant hair's breadth. And both the Rishayim and the Tzaddikim are crying. The Tzaddikim are crying because, wow, look at this Yetzer Hora. It's the size of a mountain, so insurmountable. And the Rishayim are crying and they're saying, wow, look at all these little things that we did. These little actions that we thought were nothing. Look in the aggregate at what it did. Let's try to live a little higher and let's realize that the road to greatness is not that we have to take on something tremendous, something huge. We have to change everything today, start learning all day and all night and doing mitzvahs, whatever it is. It's in the small actions. the small little things that we do, one time after another. But in the aggregate of one moment after another, coming together, one day we look back and we go, wow, look at that mountain we scaled. And it works the opposite way as well. The small little thing which might seem so insignificant that we could try to convince ourselves, say, hey, okay, it's not so bad if I do that. What's the big deal? I'm still a good Jew. No, it's these small little things that lead us down the slippery slope of destruction.